pressure rather than pressurize what we do. So these MBA students, all of us, have so many pressures in our lives. What if we took out a part of the day, not necessarily to just go work out or to meditate, and all of those are wonderful for relieving stress, but what if we included our body in both those activities? Working out by dancing and moving, and meditating by closing the eyes, by going into the inner awareness of oneself. And you're going to get both benefits. And there is tremendous benefit now that we all know to physical exercise. So why not integrate it with who we are and with our creativity? It's very, very, very important.
Hello, my name is Françoise Netter, and I want to welcome you. We've created a unique two-part program to bring you optimal body-mind fitness and an integrated experience of yourself. The first segment is a Hatha Yoga program, and through using standing, sitting, and lying down poses, we'll create greater stabilization of the spine, flexibility, strength, coordination, and stress release. The second segment is called the Magic of Movement, and through using dance principles and a guided movement sequence, you'll gain a creative workout for your body, mind, emotions, and spirit. Now we're going to begin the Magic of Movement. For this segment, I'm going to introduce Diane to you. Hello, Diane, how are you?
Good, thank you.
Good. Now, Diane is going to be doing here what you're going to be doing at home. What's a little different about this segment is that Diane is going to be doing these movements as an example, but I'm going to ask you at home to do it with your eyes closed so that you can find your own unique way of moving. This is not about right or wrong moves. This is about you finding your own way of moving in the world. So we're going to start, and I'm going to be leading the stage here, and I'm going to ask you and Diane to come now and lie down. Now, as you lie down, I'm going to have you close your eyes. So if this is a problem, you'll want to take off your glasses or your contacts and make yourself as comfortable as possible. With your eyes closed, the very first thing I'm going to have you do is, if you've taken off your shoes, I'm going to ask you to leave your voice of judgment with your shoes. Now, your voice of judgment you can have back after you do this program. Now, the first thing we're going to do after we leave the voice of judgment with our shoes is to become aware of the body. And I'd like you to do that by becoming aware of your breath. So take a couple of breaths now, feeling the in-breath go in and the exhalation go out. And once you take a couple of deep breaths through your belly, filling your lungs and releasing, then I'm going to have you settle the breath until you can find your own internal rhythm, feeling the breath coming in and out. And that rhythm of your breath will be your rhythm for the rest of this session. I want you to be aware of your physical body. And how I'll have you do that is first by claiming your boundaries. So feel your body, feel the skin all over your body. Feeling the skin as it touches the air and as it touches the floor, as it touches your rug. And notice if there's any place that you don't feel the surface of your skin, where you might disassociate or you might split from. And make sure now, it might be your chest, it might be your stomach, some place that you don't feel completely connected within your skin, within the surface of your body. So take a moment now to do that. Good. Now I'm going to have you go into your inner boundaries, and I want you to make the space on the inside as wide, as spacious, and as safe as you need it to be. So you'll feel where you begin and you end as differentiated from the floor, from the air, from the music, and from my voice. And on the inside, you can be as spacious and as wide and as safe as you need to be. So you have your external boundaries, your outer boundaries, and your inner boundaries. Now I'm going to ask you to just be aware of your physical body, feeling the energy, the heat, the cold. Just notice the way your physical body feels right now. Then become aware of what I call the mental body, and notice what thoughts are available to you in this moment. Is your mind chattery? Are you feeling like you're thinking about what you're going to eat for dinner? Just notice the quality of your thoughts without judgment. And now be aware of your emotional body and notice what feelings are available to you at this moment. Notice the color of your emotional palette. Are you feeling apathetic? Happy? And last but certainly not least, I'd like you to be aware of your witness body. That place in you, and I'd like you to locate it physically, that no matter what happens in your life, is always present, who remembers your dreams, and no matter what happens is always okay. You might call that place in you the knower. Locate this physically. Now we're going to begin our movement. And we're going to begin to warm up the body, one body part at a time. And I'm going to give you permission to use your body as if it were brand new, as if this was your first time in your body, and as if each body part were your sole source of communication. I want you to begin now with one body part, beginning to use that. Start with any body part. If it's your fingers, then I'd like you to be aware if you've got one body part or two, and begin to work with both of them. And notice all the ways that this body part can move. Does it fly? Does it stretch, contract, push, pull? Really give yourself 150% permission to move in as many ways as is possible. Stretching. If this were the only part of you that could communicate, what would you say? Good, and now begin to move another body part. It can be connected to the first, or it might be completely different. Stretching, contracting, pushing, wiggling, releasing. Think of all the ways. Let your body do your moving. Let your body do your communicating. What are all the possibilities? Does this body part move 180 degrees, 360 degrees? What are the possibilities? And what are the limitations? If you've got two body parts moving, how are they connected? How are they separate? And now let's move on to another body part, something else that you have not moved. And notice again the connection, the separation, the possibilities. What are all the ways that it can move? Touch, feeling, releasing. Now, thus far, we've been moving any way that you want to move. I'm going to ask you now to move in a particular flow pattern. And that flow pattern is continuous. So I want each movement to flow into the next without stopping. So all your movements, each body part now is being discovered continuously without stopping. And now continue on to another body part, something else that you haven't yet moved. Notice the relationship. Does it move together? Does it move separately? Wide, small, still continuously. Where did this word touch come in our vocabulary? We're moving now on low level, so I'm going to ask you to stay lying down. This is the first level, low level. So all our movements, one body part at a time, will come from this level. And now move to another body part. remembering each part, feeling the torso, the head, the neck, the face, the legs, arms, chest, toes, ankles, parts that were just words now being experienced, brand new. Still in a continuous flow, one body part at a time, until the whole body becomes awakened. And continue now until you've reached every body part, the buttocks, the pelvis, the waist. And notice your connection to the floor. Notice your connection to the air. And continue to remember to breathe. Remember this internal rhythm. No matter what the music does, I want you to remember this internal rhythm within you. Still on low level. Beginning now to take weight on different parts of your body, noticing what it's like to move sideways, to stay on your back, to move to your chest, noticing what body parts take you there, taking nothing for granted. And as you continue feeling and moving each body part individually, now we're going to begin to move the body in an orchestra, starting to move now the lower body with the upper body. Noticing the relationships between the body parts, still on low level. Noticing how the elbow might be connected to the back, and how the hands are connected to the chest, and how the head is connected to the feet. Is there a connection? Is there a separation? Still working continuously. And notice if this is difficult for you. Notice if you want to make pauses. And go ahead as much as you can. Continue flowing continuously. And just observe what feels comfortable and what doesn't. There's no right way or wrong way to move. Just let your body do the talking. Now in a moment we're going to begin to work on also middle level. Middle level being sitting or kneeling. So begin now to orchestrate the body into middle level and moving from middle level to low level. And notice as your body moves up to a higher level, as your head moves closer to the ceiling, as you start working with gravity, notice as you take weight on the different parts of the body what that feels like to you. And as you start orchestrating the different parts of the body, stay aware of the relationships. Still with your eyes closed, breathing, awareness of your boundaries, awareness of how your skin feels, awareness of your relationship between your body and my voice and the music, stretching, expanding, contracting, wiggling. Notice what movements feel good and others that feel awkward. Give yourself 150% permission to explore. Middle level, low level, a weight on the back, a weight on the stomach, a weight on the feet, a weight on the side. Now continuing to explore the whole body and the different parts of the body together, we're going to move to high level. And the first 2 times that you go up and take weight on your feet, which is customary in high level, I'm going to have you give in to gravity and fall all the way back down to the earth 2 times. The 3rd time you go up, I'm going to have you rubber cement the soles of your feet to the ground. So the very first time you go up, fall all the way back down, give in to gravity. Back to low level, back to middle level. 2 times. So move up now the 2nd time. And notice the pull of gravity and again give into it. Let the body fall back down. Once you're ready to come up the 3rd time, this time I'm going to ask you wherever your feet reach to come back up and to rubber cement the soles of your feet right there. And let your feet be like roots of a tree grounding to the earth. And then continue moving from high level to low level, down, continue moving the rest of your body, but make sure that your feet stay grounded there. So you begin to feel like a tree planted, really grounding the soles of your feet, and notice the way your feet feel. Are they wide? Are they turned in? Are they turned out? And continue moving still in a continuous flow. You can reach way up and you can go way down. Notice the joints in your body. Notice what makes your body different than a robot. Notice the joints at your elbow, your knees, your ankles, at your waist. All the different ways of moving and expanding. Still with your eyes closed, still working with your inner rhythm, the breath moving in, moving out. Really feeling the feet, not taking them for granted, as we do so much in daily life. Noticing if it feels good to bring the head down or lift the head up. Notice what feels more expansive, with the arms wide or the arms closed in. In a moment now, I'm going to ask you to begin moving out, still with the eyes closed, taking your very first steps out in the world. So now, taking the rubber cement mentally off of your feet, begin to move. And we're going to be moving in 4 directions, very small, just beginning to take weight, just small, even less, even less. Still with the eyes closed, just feeling the perimeters of the body. And feeling those 4 directions, forward, backwards, sideways, and turning. Just beginning to feel, just taking small steps, noticing what your body's like when you go back to your heels and when you're moving forward with your body, when you're moving side to side on your feet, noticing what the alignment feels in your body. What happens if you move way back with the head or you move sideways? What happens to the rest of your body? Still with your eyes closed. Not taking your alignment for granted. Notice what happens when you bring your head way forward. What happens to the rest of the body? What does your body feel like? What happens when you drop your head close to the floor? What happens to your feet? Do you lose balance? Still working in a continuous flow. Good. In a moment now, I'm going to ask you to open your eyes, but to keep your awareness still very much internalized. And we're going to open our eyes just for physical safety. So now I'm going to have you open your eyes and begin to move out on high, middle, and low level into the room. You don't need a large amount of room, just so you begin to travel in space, moving up in high level, middle level, and low level, moving with your whole body. Still in continuous flow, discover the 4 directions, forward, backwards, sideways, and turning. Now, we've been working with a continuous flow, and I'm going to ask you to add one more part to your vocabulary. I'm going to ask you to move in a stop-and-go movement. So you're going to work interrupted. So you'll be working not only in continuous flow, but stop and go. All 3 levels. Notice what feels more comfortable to you, close to the floor, high or middle. Which direction you feel good in. And you can even work, if you feel warmed up, off the floor, so that'll be your 4th level. Good, now I'm going to ask you to start working with new flows. We're going to add now, I'd like you to work with strong movements. Strong and direct. All levels, strong, direct, and now add one more dimension, bound. Strong, direct, and bound. Notice if this feels familiar to you. Notice if this is a familiar way of moving in the world. Strong, bound, direct. Now we'll change that just a little bit. Still strong and bound, but move indirect. Notice if that's possible for you. Can you still move strong and bound and indirectly? Strong, bound, indirect, all levels, all directions, continuous, or stop and go. Good. Now we're going to change that completely. I'd like you to move light. Light. Light and free and indirect. Light, free, and indirect. Notice if this feels more familiar to you. You tend to move in your life light, free, again, without judgment, and indirect. What does this feel like? Light, free, indirect, and stop and go. Is it possible? Light, free, indirect, and stop and go. A light, free, indirect, and continuous motion. Good, and let that go and then just play with that. You've got light, free, strong, bound, indirect, direct. You've got high, middle, and low levels. You've got stop and go and continuous motion. You've got 4 directions: forward, backward, sideways, and turning. Now let's add tempo. I'd like you to do any of these movements now, changing them at will, but I'd like you to move as fast as you can. Fast, faster, even faster, faster. Can you move light and fast? Can you move strong and bound and fast? Faster. Can you move on low level? Faster, 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 faster. All right, now I want you to move slow. Slower, slower. Outer space slow. Keep moving. Directly, strong, bound, and slower. Keep changing your levels. Keep getting there slower. That's it, even slower. And now change as fast as you can. And notice what feels more comfortable for you. Notice if you tend to be a speed king or queen in life, or if you tend to go very slowly. And then go ahead and change at your own will. So now we've added tempo to our vocabulary. We've got fast, we've got slow. We have high, middle, and low levels, forward, backward, sideways, and turning. We have strong movements and bound, direct and indirect. We have light and free, continuous, and stop and go. Now let's add another dimension. I want you to move now as big, as expansive, as if each limb in your body was 10 foot wide, 10 foot tall, and I want you to take the space. I want you to be as visible as you can be, so that every part of you speaks to the world, that you are completely visible. And just notice if you're comfortable with this or uncomfortable. Notice if there's any voices in there that says you should be seen and not heard. You should be definitely not seen or heard. But this time, give yourself all the permission in the world to be gigantic, to take the space of your room, to be on stage as full, as large, larger than life, for you are life itself, and you are visible everywhere. Now, we're going to go exactly the opposite. Polarities are very good. I want you to now become invisible. Become as small and as contracted. If there was ever a time in your life where you wanted to disappear, this is your time. Become tiny, contracted. You might notice if you want to be small and slow or small and fast. Notice what other tempos and what other flows come with this dimension of tininess, of smallness, of invisibility. And notice once again, without judgment, if this is familiar to you. If this is more familiar than being visible and huge. Invisible, no one can see you. You don't know where you are. You can just disappear. And allow whatever emotions to come up for you as you continue to explore. Let anything happen. And now let that go, and I want you to do some more doodling, some more exploring, being large, as huge as the room, being tiny. Moving continuously, moving fast, moving slow, moving with stops, interrupted, and continuous motions. On all three levels, just notice how much we take the highest level for granted. Now, in the very last segment, what I'd like you to do is to explore for a few moments what you feel is most natural for you. Those may be bound movements. They may be free. They may be very, very fast and light. They may just be on one level. And I want you to just work with the movement that really, if there was a way of describing who you are and you are customary moving in life, this would be it. So create a dance now through this vocabulary that really speaks about what you're most comfortable moving like in your world. It may be continuous and it may be interrupted. It might be that you love to be light and airy and large, or very tiny and small. It might be yielding movements, and it might be movements that are completely direct, or they may be mixed up. Now you're comfortable with this. Now I'm going to ask you to do exactly the opposite. I'd like you to now switch and move into what you've discovered to be uncomfortable. Something that's just a little different for you. Now let's say you're very comfortable with all movements. So what I'd like you to do is experiment with something that perhaps is a little strange. That if someone saw you move this way, they might think you're a little unique or bizarre even. And take a chance with that and notice. If nothing is uncomfortable for you, notice that and give yourself permission to move completely different than is customary. If there is something uncomfortable, then give yourself permission to move into that and to see what that uncomfortableness is about for you as you move. Is it direct? Is it indirect? Is it strong and bound? Is it tight? Is it fast? Is it only on one level and one dimension? Or is it all over the map, scattered, crazy making, as it were? Good. In this final sequence, I'm going to have you take a little bit of both. I want you to now to flow from what is comfortable to what is uncomfortable and see if you can make up something that is a bit of both, so that you move into the uncomfortable realm of yourself and you integrate it into what is customary. And so you take a bit of a risk with some new movement. And just take a few moments for this. So you've combined elements. Good. Good, and now I'm going to ask you to slowly create a closure to this time. And then to move on back down to your mat, to where you were lying down. Do it gently. Take a few moments to go back down. And we're going to take a closure here. Back to lying down, back to closing your eyes. And once again, move back into your boundaries. Notice your physical body. And be aware of your breath, feeling that rhythm. It probably won't be hard for you now to really feel very grounded in your body. Notice how much more awake you are. So being aware of the physical body once again, the breath, the boundaries, the energy in the body. And then notice your mental body. Notice the way your mind is right now. Notice the quality of your thoughts and if there have been any changes. And then notice your emotional body. What are you aware of now? How many more feelings are available to you? And what is the color of your emotional palette at this moment in time? And then once again, locate your witness body and notice what we might call spirit or source. And notice how in touch you are with that part of you that knows and that watches always. So in this moment for yourself, make sure that you're grounded, make sure that you feel your boundaries. I'm going to ask you once again to gently open your eyes, aware of all of your experiences, and then when you're ready, to come back to sitting. Now, what I'd like you to do is to perhaps get a piece of paper and write down any of the experiences that you had. You can do this exercise as often as you like. Each time that you do it, you will gain a suppleness in your body. You'll gain an increased sense of kinesthetic awareness. And you'll get a sense of where you are in your body. There are so many benefits that you can really take away with. We're going to close now, and I'd like to end with this closing statement. The hours that make us happy are the hours that make us wise. Thank you for joining me.